My younger brother raised an issue, raised a quorum, but my time is not up. My time is not up. So we take the last statement. We take the last statement from Honorable James Jachikwesin on Black History Month. Black History Month. Honorable James Jachikwesin, you have the floor now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to elaborate on the Black History Month. Mr. Speaker, I'm very honored to have the opportunity to commemorate Black History Month, a time to celebrate the achievements, struggles, and contribution of Black. I want to thank the good people of Asen North for entrusting me once again to represent and serve them. Mr. Speaker, Black History Month allows us to reflect on the perceived history, slavery, institutional racism, and the ongoing fight for equality. I am inspired by immense contribution of Black leaders like Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr., Thomas Sankara, Patrice Lumumba, our own whose efforts have shaped history and inspired progress. Mr. Speaker, Africa, despite being rich in natural resources, remains paradoxically underdeveloped due to centuries of exploitation, colonization, and unfair global systems. Our continent was stripped of global systems. Our continent was stripped of resources and labor, which fueled the advancement of other nations while leaving us impoverished. Even today, economic dependency and the influence of global financial institutions continue to hinder Africa's progress. I believe Black History Month is a call to action, Mr. Speaker. It reminds us of the need for unity among Black people worldwide, both on the continent and in the diaspora. We must strive for self-sufficiency, ethical leadership, and collective responsibility. By learning from the past and building solidarity, we can right the wrongs of history and create a future of hope, dignity, and empowerment for generations to come. Mr. Speaker, this year's celebration of Black History Month carried a powerful message of unity, resilience, and progress for the people of African descent across the world. It reminded us that the African story is one of triumph in the face of adversity, of collective strength, and of an enduring vision for a brighter future. As the world celebrated the contribution of our ancestors and contemporaries to global history, Ghana reaffirmed its position as the gateway to Africa, a home for all people of African descent, wherever they may be. Mr. Speaker, the year of return in 2019, followed by the Beyond the Return initiative, became monumental in positioning Ghana as a welcoming home for African Americans and the global diaspora. This initiative not only reignited cultural connections, but also brought tangible economic benefits, with tourism contributing significantly to our GDP. Mr. Speaker, African Americans and the global diaspora have made substantial investment in Ghana's economy, particularly in real estate, hospitality, tourism, and many other sectors, further strengthening Ghana's position as a leading destination for cultural tourism. These contributions have created jobs, boosted local businesses, and fostered global networking opportunities, all of which are vital to our national development. Mr. Speaker, for far too long, the issue of dual citizenship has clouded our political discourse, dividing us when we should be united. I'm a firm believer that Ghanaians in the diaspora, our brothers and sisters scattered across the globe, are not only part of our national story, but an integral part of our future. Their expertise, their investments, and their patriotism are invaluable. I stand here not as a victim of political challenges, but as a testament to the resilience of every Ghanaian who believes in the power of democracy and justice. Mr. Speaker, the fight against dual citizenship, restrictions, and political ambition is not a personal battle, but a national conversation. Our Constitution, while a beacon of democracy, must evolve to reflect the global realities of our people. How do we marginalize those who have sought better opportunities abroad yet remain deeply connected to Ghana? How do we exclude them from leadership when their hearts, skills, and resources are dedicated to building our nation? Mr. Speaker, it is important that we expedite action on this passage of the Dual Citizenship Amendment Bill to remove these restrictions and create a more inclusive governance framework. The bill represents a critical step in acknowledging the contributions of Ghanaians in the diaspora and ensuring that they have equal opportunities to participate in our democratic processes. I therefore urge this August House to lend its full support to the bill when it tables it again. Together, let us take this bold step towards inclusivity and progress. Mr. Speaker, as we deliberate on policies and development strategies, let us embrace the vision of our noble President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as outlined in the NDC manifesto, the Black Star Experience. This initiative will not only serve as Ghana's flagship brand for culture, arts, and tourism, but it will redefine and reaffirm national identity while attracting investments, creating jobs, and boosting tourism. It includes a year-round celebration in arts, film, fashion, literature, and more, strengthening ties with the African diaspora, including the Caribbean, and positioning Ghana as the cultural hub of Africa. The initiative will enhance tourism revenues, foster transfers, support local businesses, and drive economic and creative innovations across the country. Mr. Speaker, in recent years, Ghana has become a beacon of hope and opportunity for many Africans, diasporans, and other nationals who have chosen to call our country home. By extending citizenship to them, we are acknowledging their immense contribution to our society economically, culturally, and socially. Many of these individuals have decades of professional experience, global networks, resources, and valuable perspectives that can benefit our governance and institutions. Mr. Speaker, as we welcome them as citizens, we must also recognize the potential for their political aspiration. Leadership is not confined to nationality by birth, but defined by the ability to serve, to innovate, and to uplift communities. These new citizens are now inseparable part of our Ghanaian story, and their ambition should not be stifled by celebrated as part of the diversity and richness of our democracy. Mr. Speaker, this moment calls on us to rethink the structures of inclusivity to our governance. If we as a nation are bold enough to welcome them as citizens, then we must be equally bold in creating pathways for the active participation in shaping Ghana's future, including in political leadership. Their global experience combined with the commitment to Ghana can only strengthen our democracy and accelerate our development. Mr. Speaker, the journey ahead is long and the road will not always be smooth. But I pledge to work relentlessly to ensure that no Kenyan feels left out of our national vision, whether they live in Accra, Kumasi, Ascent North, New York, or Toronto. Today, we can redefine what it means to be a Ghanaian. Create a nation where everyone has a stake and build a future that our children will be proud of. Let us not be deterred by the challenges of today, for they are but stepping stones to a greater tomorrow. Let us work together to create and reset our nation again where opportunities are abundant, justice is unwavering, security is assured to every Ghanaian, regardless of their circumstances, can dream, achieve, and strive. I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Let me firstly go to Damango. Honorable Quason, can you put off the mic? Very well.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity to contribute to this very important statement ably made by the Member of Parliament for Asin North. The Speaker, Black peoples have traveled a long journey, and indeed, from the days of slavery to colonialism, all through to the days of civil rights, and through to the struggle for independence and post-independence struggles of nation building, and our contemporary challenges of unleashing the needed prosperity to our people, the Black peoples of the world have traveled a long journey, and that is why I believe the statement commemorating Black history is absolutely important. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, in our own country, Ghana, we've had great leaders, great forebears, who stood up to fight for Ghanaian independence, Ghanaian freedom. But allow me, Mr. Speaker, to focus on land administration as a testament of the struggles and triumphs of our forebears. And by that, I refer to the likes of John Mensah Saba and co., who established the Aborigines Rights Protection Society, which, unlike other African countries, particularly Eastern African countries, were able to mobilize our compatriots and our citizens to stand against the Crown Bills Act of 1894, which sought to appropriate Ghanaian lands. And that is why today we have a situation in Ghana where the lands of Ghana are owned by the Ghanaian people and owned by stools, owned by skins, owned by clans, and the rest. And indeed, the Speaker, across the world, there have been notable personalities who have fought for the dignity of the Black man. Dr. Martin Luther King is a classic example, and all through history, Black people have championed Black promoting the welfare of Black people and the dignity of Black people. Mr. Speaker, let me conclude by touching on the very important point that the Honorable MP for Asin North spoke about so passionately and understandably. I can understand why he spoke that passionately about that subject, which is dual citizenship and the right for citizens, the need for citizens to have the right to representation and also have the right to participate in the governance of our country whilst holding citizenship of other countries. Mr. Speaker, I only want to point out and make the point that it's a welcome call and all of us should support it. But while supporting it, we also have to be mindful that rights go along with duties. And as the honorable member may be familiar with, the tax jurisprudence of our country, for example, is a source-based tax system, which means that you are taxed only when your income is sourced from the Ghanaian jurisdiction. Unlike other countries where taxation is based on citizenship, mere citizenship. And therefore, if you're a citizen of a country like the United States, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter where you earn your income, the United States tax regime will catch up with you and you have to pay taxation. In Ghana, if you're a Ghanaian citizen and your source of income is not within the Ghanaian jurisdiction, you are not obliged to pay taxation, to pay taxes to the Ghanaian state. And therefore, whilst we call for and support for dual citizens to have certain rights, I believe that there's also a gamut of other duties we have to examine. One of them that I'm also passionate about is the question of taxation. So that if you're a dual citizen and you're entitled to be a member of parliament, you're entitled to be a chief justice, and you are earning your income from, say, the United Kingdom, the Ghanaian tax regime should be able to catch up with you as well. So, Speaker, with this, I thank the maker of the statement for making this
Thank you very
statement.
much. Yes, let me come to Honorable Member for Medina.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this very important statement on the Black History Month by our colleague, Honorable James J. Chikwesi, Member of Parliament for Asin North constituency. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, this statement is very timely because it reminds us of a number of things, starting from local to maybe global. I think the first thing it reminds us of is the duty on the nation to pass that very, very important dual citizenship law that was introduced by a private member in the 8th Parliament. Unfortunately, we could not pass that law before the 8th Parliament dissolved. I am hopeful that the new Attorney General and the Minister for Interior would come together and ensure that that bill is relayed on the floor of Parliament so we can look at it speedily. Mr. Speaker, of course, there is justification for this. The mere fact that a person has moved from Ghana to another country or picked a citizenship from another country doesn't mean the person has lost his original citizenship or where he was born. And Mr. Speaker, not only that, research and data available from the World Bank, Bank of Ghana, and other financial institutions shows that the remittances that comes to this country, the amount of contribution, financial contribution that our diasporans do to this country is unimaginable. So how on earth do we accept all these remittances, all this support, and yet when it comes to ensuring their rights to participate in our local governance structure, we tend to discriminate against them? So, Mr. Speaker, I really believe that the time is ripe for us to critically look at the dual citizenship law and then amend same. Mr. Speaker, secondly, the statement again reminds us of a collective responsibility as Africans and African citizens. Mr. Speaker, you realize that most of the world leaders or the forebearers, for example, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, were people who had opportunity to study beyond the four corners of Ghana. So it means that the diasporan experience is also very important because it kind of opens our worldview. It helps us to understand what is
focused on local economic improvement. We will have most blacks having to stay in Africa, but not to run out of this continent. Mr. Speaker, then coming back to the statements once again on the issue of dual citizenship. Mr. Speaker, a lot of African countries have benefited from dual citizenship because our ability to learn and unlearn and learn is one that countries develop with. If you look at what is going in China, China had the opportunity to even go and learn a lot of things from the Americas and from Germany, and they've gone back to help their country with. So I think it's the right time that we in Ghana and in Africa give our dual citizens the opportunity to be able to contribute fully to the development of our nation, recognizing the struggles that most of our leaders that have led this country to where we are has done. If you look at the history of our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he had the opportunity to live in the United States. So most of our leaders that have led this country did. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to support my brother, the Honorable Member of Parliament, that we will have to relook at this dual citizen law and see how best we can bring meaning to it, so that the power and the resilience of the Black race can contribute to the development of our nation, Ghana. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Let him now acknowledge uh, the Deputy Minister Designate for Health. Yes. Professor Ayensu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to make a comment on this statement. And thank you for the maker of the statement, Honorable Jachi Kwesin, Member of Parliament from Asin North constituency. Mr. Speaker, the issue of Black History Month is a very important month for Africans and Africans in the diaspora. I want to bring this Black History Month issue back to the medical industry as a medical doctor and a surgeon specialist myself. When we look at Blacks in the diaspora, there's a lot of expertise that Ghana can benefit from medical experts in the diaspora. They cut across from Brazil to Middle East to the Caribbean to America to Canada to the UK. All across the world, we have Blacks who are experts in the medical field. These are some super specialized experts. As we sit here today in Ghana, Mr. Speaker, we have issues with medical expertise where we have enough experts. Where we have experts, we don't have enough of them. So what happens in most of our hospitals is that you see that the same experts are rotating through all the medical centers. So we are at a deficit of medical experts. Some of the medical experts are in areas where there's only one or two of them in the entire country. So in celebrating Black History Month, I would urge this House to make it easier for medical experts in the diaspora to come and support our health system. Oftentimes, it is very difficult to even transition. For instance, when you come from elsewhere, there are certain exams you have to take. The exams are usually done 1 or 2 times a year, and you have to do an oral exam, which all of us had to do. And the process of at least getting a medical license is a little bit tedious and maybe sometimes inconvenient. So as a House, I would recommend that maybe we look into those and see how best we can make it easier for Africans in the diaspora to come to Ghana to support our health industry. Mr. Speaker, I would like to also say that even if these experts are not coming here permanently, we can use them on a rotational basis. We have NGOs that can bring doctors and experts maybe every 3 months to help the Ghanaian health system and support the system. Most of these experts, because of their patriotism, would probably do it and do it for free. So it will almost be at no cost to the Ghanaian medical system, yet we are going to benefit from their great expertise. So in conclusion, I would like to thank Honorable Jachi Kwesin for bringing up this very important month of Black History Month. And I would also like to use this opportunity to thank the people in the cocoa growing areas of my constituency of Isika Duketan constituency, the people in Imbridani, the people in Atiasi, the people in Bohumbozen, and all the cocoa growing areas in Isika Duketan. I would like to wish them a happy chocolate day, and hopefully this weekend I will bring chocolate to all of them in the villages, and we can enjoy the end product of our hard work. And I would also like to highlight what is happening with our cocoa. Most of the cocoa the cocoa plants are being cut down to make way for galamsey. And I think that we should also look into that because cocoa is a very important product for the country and it brings in most of our income for the country. Thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to make this contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. So now everybody gets the floor and he wants to take advantage. Yes, Honorable Minister for Education.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity to thank the Honorable Jachi Kwesen for the statement on the Black History Month and to call on us in recognizing the monumental contribution of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to the economic, social, and political development of our country, the contribution of Nelson Mandela, not just breaking the walls of apartheid and ensuring that South Africa was ushered into a democracy which gave more power and rights to persons with Black background, and then also in celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King. Mr. Speaker, in commending him on his statement, may I refer you to the paragraph in the second page, where he says that issue of dual citizenship. Mr. Speaker, the onus is on us as a country that are we ready to make the best use of the expertise acquired by Ghanaians who have lived and worked abroad for several years, but for good reason had to give up their citizenship for other countries. We know that the motivation at the time for many who traveled to the United Kingdom or to the United States, they acquired those citizenship because they didn't want to be chased around like they are being chased around today. So they had to switch citizenship in order that they gain some of the benefits associated with the citizenship of that country. But Mr. Speaker, in 1993, when the Constitution was promulgated, with your indulgence, I quote, the Constitution in Article 8 read, and Mr. Speaker, I quote, which was repealed. It says in Article 8:1, a citizen of Ghana may hold the citizenship of any other country in addition to his citizenship of Ghana. So, Mr. Speaker, constitutional. If you are a Ghanaian and you choose that you want to hold the citizenship of another country, our law, our constitution permit it, lawful. But Mr. Speaker, in 8:2, it reads, without prejudice to Article 94:2 of the Constitution, and this is the emphasis, no citizen of Ghana shall qualify to be appointed as a holder of any office specified in this clause if he holds the citizenship of any other country in addition to his citizenship of Ghana. So if you are a dual citizen, you cannot be ambassador or a high commissioner. You cannot be secretary to the cabinet. You cannot be chief of defense staff or any service chief. You cannot be Inspector General of Police. You cannot be Commissioner Customs, Excise and Preventive Service, Director of Immigration Service, and Mr. Speaker, any office specified by an act of Parliament. So what Parliament chooses to do. So Mr. Speaker, when you are a dual citizen, even in Parliament, what we need to do, and Mr. Speaker, I'm particularly happy you are in the chair. What is the difference between allegiance to the state and citizenship? They cannot be the same legally. If you follow the Bilson case in the early days of the 1993 Constitution, you owe allegiance to another state. The assumption is that when you are a dual citizen, your allegiance have shifted, and that you may not owe allegiance to the country of your birth or your country of nationality. So, Mr. Speaker, what we need to do, which one of our colleagues tried doing in the last Parliament, I believe he was the chairman of the Committee on Roads. We almost got it through. Mr. Speaker, it was myself and Honorable Chairman discussing this, and probably that's why I'm raising it. He came at private member bill to amend the Constitution. I do not think that the Constitution is weightier. If you want to amend the Constitution, let it be the decision of the state. That's why the president is head of state. The initiative must be that of the president, that I'm seeking to amend the Constitution in Article 8 and to allow for dual citizens to hold certain category of public offices. As we can, my concern, by which we can deal with when we get to the lawmaking, is that it cannot be open to every other office. But so for elected member of parliament, you cannot be a dual citizen and at the same time be an elected member of parliament. But should we not amend the constitution? As I said, allegiance of state is not the same thing. Then, Mr. Speaker, whilst commending him, let me conclude again in his paragraph 4, and to assure this House that sooner than later, Excellency John Dramani Mahama will launch the Black Star Experience. I met him taxing the Minister for Tourism to take this initiative up and do what is appropriate so that it becomes an essential part of Ghana's independence celebration. It was a view of the president that this year is too close, but at least into next year, the Minister for Tourism will lead the president's policy reforms in making the Black Star Experience a model to attract more tourism and more tourists into our country, and for us to celebrate our culture and to celebrate our values as a people. Mr. Speaker, finally, whilst I commend the Honorable Jachikwesin, today, Ghana, our image is soaring very high, and that is why we must work to preserve it. Just the transition of political power from one political party to the other, from a different political party to the other, as to Ghana becoming a beacon of hope in the pursuit of multi-party constitutional democracy. What we need to do is to preserve our respect to the fundamentals of the rule of law and pray that Ghana does not tomorrow move into the annals of a banana republic where we are not governed by law, but governed by the weight of some other person. So the Honorable Jachikwesin, let me commend you for the statement, and do take part when the Minister for Tourism is leading the Black Star Experience initiative of the President to drive his resetting agenda in the tourism sector. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. So we have to amend Article 8(2) of the Constitution. And probably, Mr. Speaker, when we get there, we may have to look at Article 94. Again, the Constitutional Review Commission can take advantage of it. And citizens of Ghana who feel strong about it abroad, including Professor Azai and co, they were the team that kept coming to Mr. Speaker and your good self, urging us to make sure that we took off that part from our laws. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I now reach out to leadership?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. I commend highly the maker of the statement. Mr. Speaker, if anyone has to pay attention to issues of Black History Month, I think the New Patriotic Party did so very well with reference to the celebration of the year of return and beyond the return. I also take a cue from my very senior mentor, who had to go into details of discussing issues of allegiance and citizenship. Mr. Speaker, we also are very well versed to the extent of knowing that every citizen has responsibilities. So if you are a citizen and you also want to serve your state, there are due obligations for you to take up, including paying your taxes, including ensuring that whatever you are doing to the other country that you have taken up at another point of citizenship, you are providing same allegiance to your original country. Mr. Speaker, and we know that this cannot be measured as to whether or not one is very allegiant or one is not. Mr. Speaker, we are here today to believe that the Constitution, if you look at chapter 3 of the Constitution, and in particular 8.123, there have been some amendments that we also have to pay attention to, and to understand that it is very important for anybody who wants to be seen as a Ghanaian to do so in a whole perspective, not in a partial perspective. Whole to the extent that you are a true Ghanaian and that you can be a speaker of parliament when you tomorrow decide to do so, because you are qualified to do so. Mr. Speaker, as we are here today, we want to believe that if we put everything in proper perspective, tomorrow anybody who qualifies to have a dual citizenship should have so without any problems. And such a person should also be able to contest an election without any problems. That is why, on this note, I commend the maker of the statement, and more especially my senior learned friend, for also bringing in an aspect of the issue of allegiance. How do you prove allegiance? And that is a matter which is very critical and we all have to pay attention to. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to contribute to this statement.
Yes, Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I would also like to thank the maker of the statement, Honorable Jachikwesin, for making this important statement. Mr. Speaker, the issue of Black History Month is a global one, not only Africa, but Africans in the diaspora. And it is worth celebrating. And that is why Americans have made it a very important month for the history of the African people. Mr. Speaker, African people or African descent have gone through various experiences, in the over a century. They have also excelled in many walks of life. Mr. Speaker, wherever you go in the world, there is an African who is doing something quite important. Therefore, it's not a doubt that Africans are capable of doing what other, race or other shades of people are doing in the world. And we don't celebrate ourselves enough. And it is important that we do so. In any field that you mentioned, there is an African there who has done extremely well. At the top end of diplomacy, of politics, we've seen Africans who have occupied global positions, like the United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan and many others. And they're still doing it. Mr. Speaker, it is worth celebrating that I know Nkrumah said Africans are capable of managing our own affairs. But sometimes we look like we are not capable of managing our own affairs. But we have managed affairs of other people. Therefore, we should be capable of managing our own affairs. We are just not getting something right. And those are the things we need to look at and not have a doubt in ourselves that we are actually capable of managing our own affairs. Mr. Speaker, I think some perspectives have been shared by my honorable friend, the Education Minister, on the issue of this dual citizenship. And I think the maker of the statement, who we know had a personal experience of this, was right in making a statement. I do pray that eventually we're able to revisit this bill and make sure that Ghanaians, wherever they are, can come back home and make a significant contribution to Ghana's economy. Mr. Speaker, we get a lot from foreign remittances from Ghanaians who are working and living abroad. Yet, when it comes to certain positions, the same Ghanaians who are making a significant contribution to Ghana's economy cannot participate because of the citizenship issue. We do have Ghanaians who are dual citizenship and do other things. I believe we have Ghanaians who are dual citizenship who play for the national team. So if you are good enough to play for the national team, and you are representing Ghana, and we have faith in you that you do the right thing and make sure Ghana win the matches, why is it not possible that the same Ghanaian can serve as a member of parliament or any position, any political position, and have a suspicion that that person will either not do right for Ghana or we have something to worry about? So I think that that issue needs to be revisited. And as the education minister said, coming as a private member bill, I think itself was a bit problematic. And it needs to be weightier, I do agree. And it's an issue that we need to look at, because every now and then it becomes a problem which doesn't, I don't believe, serves the country well, that we are losing people with certain expertise that can contribute to the country, but they fall short of doing so because of the challenges that they might encounter when they make that attempt to come home and help. Mr. Speaker, I take the opportunity again to thank the maker of the statement, of this important statement. And with these few words, Mr. Speaker, I would like to end here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, honorable members. I think with regards to this issue of dual citizenship, our brother, Professor Kokuya Sali, has always been reaching out as to how you get this bill done. I think a lot of our brothers and sisters sitting elsewhere who are desirous to come and also not only coming to take part in the management and the development of the country, we also want to take part in our elections. They are pushing so many discussions on board. And I think going forward, when we revisit that particular bill, we can look at it from all these angles. People are even suggesting that why can't we have diasporan constituencies, whereby Ghanaians in Europe or America, we have setting up set constituencies for them, so that all Ghanaians over there will contest, and whoever is elected will be part of our legislative body. So there are so many discussions that are going on, and I think once we revisit that particular bill, we will look at it from all this angle. So, Honorable Judge Kwesi, we thank you for bringing this to the fore. And our ministers, Elizabeth and Jifa, and our Deputy Majority Whip, who also made a statement regards to the day, we thank all of you. On that note, I think we'll bring the curtains down for the day. So, Honorable Member, I think since we've not exhausted our 5 hours, you can move a motion for us to adjourn the House.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if I have the floor, sorry.
Mr. Speaker, yes, but we are tired, and I would like to move a motion for us to bring proceedings to an end today and adjourn until Tuesday next week.
Well.
Yeah.
Yes, minority leadership.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I propose 12 o'clock on Tuesday.